The following is a production of Fenix Media. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the company or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.
In Nevada near the silver mines, there's a kind-hearted woman. She's looking so fine, always taking care of her community. Bringing folks together is her cup of tea. She's out on the road and all over the web with a big smiling heart. It's About Town Deb.
And welcome to this week's episode of City Talk. I'm About Town Deb, Debbie McCarthy, one of your hosts today, because we are at the National Automobile Museum in Reno, Nevada. And I have two amazing hosts, and we have a beautiful guest that's going to be sharing from her heart, and you're going to love it. But first, I'm going to thank our sponsors, and then I'm going to introduce my co-host, Crystal Basin Cellars, Home NV, and Family Home Project. They are here on set today. Surratt Law Practice, Wild River Grille. I did say that right. Whew, geez. I would think I was, you know what made me think, I kind of want to grill cheese. I don't know. I said Wild River Grill, and all of a sudden my brain went to grilled cheese. That's weird.
It does sound good, but
I'm kind of hungry.
But it's also Family Hope Project.
It is.
Yeah, you said Home Project.
I said home.
She wants to go home and have a grilled cheese.
That's what I was thinking.
It's Family Hope Project. Yes. And Kristen, FenixMedia.us. And Dee Dee James, theme song, Caliber Hair and Makeup. Anyway, wow, it's been a long week.
Yeah.
So Raquel Riggle, my co-host here with Home NV.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
And now spring is sprung and hope eternal.
We don't have the wind today.
Oh my God, it was really windy yesterday. And then we have another beautiful co-host, Nisa. How are you?
Good. Hello.
Nisa Butler, and she is the amazing dynamic woman behind the Family Hope Project.
That's right.
So thank you. Thank you, both of you, for making a difference in our world and our community. And I'm going to give the mic to Raquel, because our beautiful guest over here is a close friend of yours. So I really feel like I would love you and be honored if you will do the introduction and start us off. And the theme where our show is where the sidewalk meets the home. And we're going to be talking, I'm just going to let you share. Okay. This is like it's going to be an emotional, but it's going to be amazing because stories are what bring us all together. So
it is what brings
us
all yours
together, young lady.
Oh, young. I'm feeling young today.
You are young with your beautiful dress on and sparkly spring dress.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Our guest today is Star, and she is actually a dear friend of mine. Her son and my son are best friends, and they have been for years. But Star, she's used a lot of our resources in our community because of some of the things that she's kind of gone through in her past, and she's come out on the other side. And I thought it would be just an amazing time to tell her story and get that out there, and kind of let Reno know and the world know really what is out there and what other people go through and how they come out on the other side, because it's so important to hear from the beginning through it, and then getting out of it and how that looks. So welcome, Star.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, we're honored to have you.
Absolutely.
And I'm honored to be sitting across from you. And I cannot wait to hear your story and how you have come out on the other side. Like if you're listening out there, I guarantee you somebody out there is going to want to hear your words today. So thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I guess, with Family Hope Project, we do a lot of stuff in the community, like resources and connecting people and things like that. So what we wanted to share, Nisa and I wanted to share today in our message is that, we work with people like the Domestic Violence Resource Center that Star went to when she was getting out of her situation. And we'll let you kind of tell your story, how that looks for you. And then we'll kind of, plug in how we help and what we can do going forward.
Definitely. Shall I begin?
Yes. We'd love you to begin.
Okay, so I was in my past abuser relationship, I would say, for 11 years. It was an on and off. Took me 10 10 times to finally leave him. And normally when you read about the cycles of abusive relationships, you're seeing it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. It all hits home when you realize you leave, you go back thinking he's going to change, or you have a connection with the family. We have kids together, or we had kids together. So I thought I was trying to keep a family together. I look at my parents as, I put them on a high pedestal because I've been married for over 44 years.
Yeah.
So that's
did I
something
do that?
it's something that I had always wanted. And the reality was it wasn't going to happen. I knew I was going to leave him. I just didn't know how I was going to get out of the relationship. It was something that I'd had friends, family, fighting for me to get out of the relationship. But ultimately, it was going to be up to me to leave the relationship feeling secure. I mean, I had all resources, assets taken away. I think there's always that question that people come up to me and say, well, why didn't you just leave him?
Well, right.
And yeah,
and
easier said than done.
Oh yeah. And I think you even at one point had told me, like, I don't even understand how I got into this situation because I was born in a family that didn't have trauma or crisis, and I have a great upbringing, and I'm not a weak person. I always had confidence. I mean, you played softball your whole life.
Yeah,
wow.
Definitely. So being a competitive, I would say, person, woman,
A strong competitive woman.
yes, and don't get me wrong. Like, I think in my past, I thought I was this bad girl that could just like walk all over men, and
You just thought you're a little badass.
But it started off slowly. No, actually, it didn't start off slowly. If I could think back, I think I knew in like 2 weeks the kind of person he was.
Okay,
Well, let's leave it right there.
A quick break because we come back. We're going to continue the story.
Yes.
And stay tuned. It's City Talk with About Town Deb. We'll be right back and continue the story.
Now more than ever, family matters, and Surratt Law Practice has your family in mind. Kimberly Surratt and her team have been helping maintain healthy families through their holistic approach to adoption and surrogacy, child custody, estate planning, and more for over 13 years. Your family law concerns are in caring hands with Surratt Law. Schedule your private consultation with a compassionate Surratt Law Practice team member today by calling 775-636-8200 or visiting lawyersforfamilies.com. Surratt Law, where family matters.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets, and they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at fenixmedia.us.
She's out on the road and all over the web with a big smiling heart. It's About Town Deb.
My town, your town, or any town, this is About Town Deb presents City Talk. Now, back to the show.
And welcome back to City Talk. I'm About Town Deb at the National Automobile Museum. And we are opening up today with Star. And we'd love you to go back and continue the conversation.
So when we left off, you said in the first 2 weeks, you
knew.
So yeah, definitely the first 2 weeks, there was definitely that red flag, the sign where...
So what was the red flag?
So I had my cell phone. I was at his place. I had received a text message from a prior ex-boyfriend that was worried about the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd said, there was signs and warnings, just be careful with him.
Interesting.
He saw the text, grabbed my phone, took it from me, and slammed it threw it at my hand. So hand instantly bruised up. And I was like, oh, there's nothing clearly to worry about. And I was making excuses. Yeah. He apologized, which that's always something that happened where
they always apologize, right?
I'm sorry, or let's cuddle, and something ridiculous where, to be honest, stay away from me. I don't want you to touch me. I'm upset.
Right.
So first 2 weeks, yes, I can definitely say that was the initial red flag. Then there was his friend. Be careful with him. The past relationship, I heard a lot of things.
And even his own friend.
His own friend.
Oh,
yes.
So his own friend was telling you to be careful.
Yes. I went to, so this was the sign.
Yes.
This was the
another sign.
one.
We were playing softball together. That's how we met. So we were playing softball together. We were going to go to a Sacramento softball tournament. I don't remember what initiated the argument, but we were supposed to travel together. He got upset. I ended up taking off to the softball tournament. When I went to the softball tournament, his best friend, whether I want to say it's his best friend or not, I don't know, but he had warned me. He's like, hey, you know what? Be careful with him. I'm just telling you, the past relationship was the same thing. There was lots of physical stuff, verbal. He treated her badly, poorly in public. So that was definitely a big sign. If he's your friend, why would he be saying these things about you?
Right.
So there's always these red flags and signs I completely ignored. I want to say I listened to them. I knew it was wrong. In my mind, I was thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe he just needs help. I can change him.
Right.
Maybe he wasn't with the right person. And guess what? It's excuse the whole time.
And you were a young mom too at that time.
Yeah. So I had Ethan. He was 2. That was the other sign. I think that kids are a big indicator of good or bad. They don't see like the gray areas in between. Kids will just see good or evil.
Mm-hmm.
And Ethan was scared of him. He didn't want to be around him. That was the biggest sign. So clearly now, as I'm out of this relationship, my kids have always come first. It's been
100%.
It's been hard for me to even want to get into a relationship just because I worry about my kids and whether the person's going to be good enough for them. I don't want them to have to go through what my oldest went through because he, for a long time, for 10, 11 years that I was with my ex, always felt like the ugly stepchild.
Right.
And it's heartbreaking for me. I think that's where I've had these conversations with you, Raquel, where I felt like I have failed him. I failed my kids. I felt like the bad mom. I put a lot of blame on myself because of the relationship that
You definitely carried a lot of blame and just guilt. And you shouldn't have. I mean, it wasn't you. It was a product of the abuse.
Yeah. So, and then there's definitely the voices that I would hear from friends and family, just leave. I don't know what kept me going back to him, but that was probably the manipulation from him.
Oh, it certainly was. I remember times where you would go just completely silent for like a month, maybe 2. And when you would pop back up, you would say, well, I just thought if I was quiet, it would keep him in a good place. Or if I didn't communicate with people, he would not freak out, or, things would be good and he would be good. Yeah. And which meant like he wasn't out at the casino gambling till 3 or 4 in the morning and coming home pissed off because he spent every nickel that he had.
Definitely. And it was,
which became your problem. How? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I hated it every time there was. So I'll give you an example. Birthdays. Oh, let's go out for your birthday, Starla. Let's go have some fun, go gamble. Deep down inside, I'm like, I hate it. I hate gambling. I don't gamble. Like, I may do like a side bet here and there for $5. And I'm like, that's enough.
And that's only like if we're seeing somebody on the street, like, I think they're going to trip. Oh no, they're not going to trip.
So I can't stand gambling. It just takes me back like PTSD, where I felt because he lost money, it was my fault. He would say, oh, we're losing because you're standing behind me and you're watching me. Okay, so let me go to the restroom. I'll pretend that I'm going to the restroom, sit in there and do absolutely nothing for about an hour, 2 hours, and then just watch the bank account just slowly be money being deducted out of the account, like increments of 200, 300, 400. And it just kept going on and on. So,
and you were always so like aware of that because you wanted to buy a house, and you were working on like credit things for him, and to be able to get a house because he was the only one working, and it really wouldn't allow you to work.
Definitely.
And I remember you'd have to go grocery shopping at like ridiculous hours.
So when I was working, I think I worked at Amazon for maybe a year or 2 years, maybe in between Robinson, my youngest, who was 8. So I worked the graveyard shift was, I want to say 6 to 4:30 in the morning. And so it wouldn't be an inconvenience to him. After I got off work, I'd go straight shopping, 4:30 in the morning, or it'd have to be before my oldest son had to go to school. That way he wouldn't be bothered from his sleep. So I was lack of sleep, maybe 2 hours of sleep a day, broken up with my oldest son, and then my 11-year-old, who was maybe 2 or 3 or 4 at the time, somewhere around that age. But so waking up from naps and then having to redo it every day just so that he wouldn't have to go grocery shopping. It's not like it was ever talked about, but they're just things that I tried to avoid to make life easier for him and then for myself and my kids. So maybe 2.5 hours of sleep when I was working.
Yeah, I remember, and you would even have my kids over. I'm like, and you're making salsa?
Yeah. Oh yeah, her kids would come over just for the salsa.
They totally did.
Like, do you have any more salsa and chips?
I know. I'm still thinking about that salsa. Yeah. Hey, so when are you making that again?
I think you have a container still.
I might. You see me turning red? Maybe I do.
You probably do.
Asking for it back.
I know. You could have just text me. You didn't have to turn radio, I promise. I would have brought it back.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but my kids, I mean, throughout it all, though, my kids still came over, and they just, to this day, they talk about you very highly. They're like, oh, I just love Starla, blah, blah, blah. And I remember we would take Ethan, and, John and I knew what was going on behind the scenes just because of some of the things that we witnessed. And we would take Ethan whenever we could because we knew, that would just take some of that burden off of you. And it gave him a place where he would feel like he could just, safe in whatever he wanted to be as a kid. And, him and Logan, they really still have a great bond. I mean, sometimes they fight, but you know, they're 14-year-old boys.
They're boys. They fight and then they make up.
It's the funniest thing.
I know. Girls are different, but
they are.
I've come to realize that boys, they can fight. And then next thing you know, a couple days later, they're okay. They're bros again.
Oh, totally. Totally. I know. just saw him at the park this weekend.
Yeah, you and John have helped Ethan out a lot with just getting him out of maybe feeling trapped and letting him be open and be himself. As soon as I left my ex, he is a whole different kid.
A whole different
He has
child.
a personality that I guess that'll take me into the subject of being able to put my kids into sports, things that I've always wanted to do. I mean, he's 13, 14, how old is he then? No, he's 15. So he's 15. So he just started wrestling, like, I want to say right after I had left him. He's like, hey, Mom, I want to try out for wrestling. I was like, cool. Go for it. I know nothing about it, but go for it. I can teach you anything about balls, but as far as wrestling, no, I know nothing. And throw him the towel, that's about it. So once he said that, I was like, all right, this is awesome. He's starting to come out. He's met a lot of new friends from doing wrestling, doing doing activities. We do CrossFit together and work out. So we have this really special bond where he really is a good kid. He seen me go through a lot.
He saw a lot
from the get-go, and he has been my number one ride or die. He's I call him the man of the house, and he takes that to heart. He wants to be the man of the house. So I'd have to say he's seen it all. He treats now his girlfriend very well. And I tell him, like,
it's so weird to hear that.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. Yeah. He's a good kid. I thought that maybe it would continue a cycle, but he's that person that's, hey, you know what? This happened to my mom. I want to treat the girl right, or whoever he's with. And I've always installed that in him. No matter what, listen to the girl, talk to their feelings. It should never resort to
physical,
raising your hand, degrading a person. I mean, his first girlfriend, he was very heartbroken, but I said, hey, did you treat her right? Did you don't backlash, don't talk behind her back, don't say anything negative. As long as you did by right, then you have nothing to worry about, and you guys can go your separate ways. But in that, you always want to respect respect these females, period.
Well, and I guess when we come back from break, we should talk a little bit about what that looked like for the kids. Like, did they have to go through counseling? How did they adjust to all of this? And maybe you could share, if you're comfortable with, like, one of the stories. So, I know there's a lot of women out there that face these things, and it's all on the forefront now with this Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing. We're seeing it on both sides.
Yep.
And I think it would be good to talk about those things.
Definitely.
Wow, boy, I'm like, I am speechless, because like I say, it's so important that you're sharing the story. And so if you're listening out there, please take heart to this and know that you're not alone. And it's happened to many of us. And I have a good friend who she went through the same thing. So when I hear you talk, I can totally picture her going through that. So thank you. And we're going to take a quick break and be right back.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities. but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barber Shop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at fenixmedia.us.
You know that's what she said. Come on, let's have some fun with About Town Deb.
My town, your town, or any town, this is About Town Deb presents City Talk. Now, back to the show.
And welcome back to City Talk. We are chatting away and sharing our hearts. And Star, you are such a brave woman, and we're so grateful you're here. And I'm going to turn the mic over to Nisa, because during break, you were asking her a question about what you'd like her to share more about. So I'll let you take it over.
Okay, well, just like I had kind of a couple questions. Well, I was just sharing, I had a dear friend that I grew up with through childhood. And when we were in our early 20s, that's when I had my first child. And I knew she was in a relationship like this where there was a lot of signs, and she just straight up told me. But I remember just the guy hated me because I was very strong in her life and always encouraged her. And so I did kind of notice that he would kind of cut me down when I came over, but life was just easier for her when I wasn't around. And so like you said, people would ask you like, well, why don't you just leave? And I made the mistake of doing that to her. Like, hey, I have a house for you. I have a room. Like I cleaned this out for you. Like where, and then she just wouldn't answer my calls anymore. Or, for months, she missed the birth of my first child. And I looking at it now and understanding and working with women, I realized like I did make it hard for her. So I just wanted to ask you, like, I've shared, I have 3 daughters, and I learned so much from that situation because I would rather not be cut off. And I sometimes look at I look at my kids, and it's like, of course I know way more than they know about what's going to happen in their lives, or all these risks that they could take. But it's like how God, like what as a mother, like what as a family member, somebody close, like what Raquel just said, you would go missing for 2 months or not. And like, how can we ever just, if we have friends that we know they're going through something like this, like, how can we like, don't cut us off? Like, what do we do? What do we conform to?
It's so hard to say, but I can guarantee you your friend, she didn't mean to cut you off, period. It was the same thing with my family member that you do know. I didn't have contact with her for 5 years, and she was my one best friend.
You weren't allowed
family
to.
member.
Yeah.
It was just, I had my phone taken away. So sometimes not looking or knowing the situation that she was in, I had my phone taken away. I went through maybe like 3 or 4 phones that he had broken, and it broke my heart every day to not be able to talk to the family members. So I would definitely say, I can't speak for her and don't know her situation, but I can guarantee you she missed you, and she appreciated everything that you do. Any message or any voicemail or if I had the chance to talk to family members, I always took that in and thought they weren't dismissed. She didn't completely block you out. You're still there in her heart, and she knows that you meant right by it. It's just a tough situation of being watched or being monitored with your phones I mean, I didn't even have social media for like 10 years. I was like so out of the loop. I was like, so is there still MySpace? Like, I didn't know.
I'm ready to log in now. All right, guys.
Hi, guys.
Ready to update my profile.
I think everything that you did was right. I don't think that she wasn't intentionally trying to hurt you. It was just what was best for her and her family at the time. I can guarantee you, I don't know what the relationship is now.
Yeah, she's actually moved on. We're still we're friends again. Yeah, for sure. And this was like a very close childhood family relationship. But and she explained stuff like that. But I guess what I'm saying is you would just like you described yourself, she was the one that was running these relationships before she got into this. So it's what puts you really it's not what puts you at risk, but it's how do we be the friend that you're allowed to have contact
or
with?
Or like you said, we're not immune to it. So how do we kind of insulate our daughters?
Yeah.
Or is there even an answer that you have?
Or what should they look for?
Or what should we look for?
And I know this sounds cliche, but I'm always look at the red flags, look at the signs. If anybody, a man should never have to, and a woman either, it's vice versa. Put downs, making somebody feel embarrassed. Sometimes I look at when guys, and don't get me wrong, there's always some jealousy with relationships, but when it starts off with jealousy and joking around in the beginning, sometimes I look at those little signs now because that can be an indicator of what could blow up and be bigger. So
I remember when I first met you and you were literally just around the corner from where you lived. And we talked for maybe 3 minutes, if tops. And he came around the corner and he was like, "Where are you at? What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I was just checking to make sure she didn't get abducted." And I was thinking to myself, yeah, right.
So, I mean, and at the same time, the person our neighbor, I was being accused of cheating with him, and he was
an elderly man.
Yes. An elderly man. Yes.
Yes. Disabled.
Ron Jeremy looking. Kid you not. I swear.
Well, what's wrong with that? He's an old animal.
No.
So was he cute?
No. Ron Jeremy, now.
I know who. Oh my God.
I think I'm lost here.
I know exactly what he looks like.
God,
too.
now.
Yeah, I was
sweetest guy ever, but
oh no. God,
wasn't cheating. No,
hard no.
So I mean, I would just say for my daughter, I always tell her that she should be treated like the princess that she is. No, if any boy, man ever tries to downgrade her, I mean, I got told the meanest things in the world. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know I have a big nose, but I would be called me crazy little kid names about my nose, about my appearance, my body. I was insecure.
You're beautiful.
I was told I was never going to get with anybody because I had kids. Nobody's going to want to be with me. So, and
he's the best you're ever going to get.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's still some of my biggest insecurities and what I struggle with. But I just tell my daughter, I remind her all the time that she's beautiful. Maybe I didn't hear that enough as a kid either. I don't know. I know my parents loved me and thought I was beautiful, but I vocally tell my daughter that I'm how are you so beautiful? You're amazing. Yeah. You're strong. Don't let any man tell you you're ugly, because guess what? Everyone has a preference. Everyone has a taste. Just know deep down inside that you have a heart. You're a fighter. She reminds me a lot of Avery, where she's just this pit bull and hungry to go, go after whatever she wants.
Oh, so, yeah. I love that.
I think for her, I'm just always reassuring her that she is good enough and she is beautiful. If God forbid something happened terribly, as an appearance, because that can happen, she's still beautiful no matter what, and she's strong. But I don't degrading women, degrading men. Those are clear signs of move on.
Yeah,
you can find better. Yeah. Once somebody or men trying to do things that are trying to make you jealous is clearly something that is a huge red flag. So,
what was the breaking factor? What finally got you to leave?
So sorry, and we've had this conversation where this is kind of bringing back memory lane.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really talked about this stuff in
only
a
share
long
if you're
time.
Comfortable, definitely.
Yeah. So I want to say it was so last year I gave a testimony, and
Which I'm so proud of you for.
It was very out of my comfort zone, but
so is this. So
yeah, and it definitely is. Yeah, I was like, why not? So I spoke for SBC or SB 144, I think it was, or 177.
177. Senate Bill 177.
Mm-hmm. And it was to promote Domestic Violence Resource Center and to give out, for them to have more resources because they lack, and they've had to turn plenty of women away. And I think about myself and being turned away. So skipping forward from that, what I spoke about was probably one of the last situations that happened that really got to me. And it was my kids being old enough to see clearly very physical stuff. So the last encounter, and this is where I went and just...
I think that's about the time that I got the call, like I'm ready to move, and I dropped everything and helped you.
Yeah, so this is probably going to be pretty detailed, but
it's okay.
We got in an argument. He didn't like the fact that I was trying to set up a hike with the kids to go up towards it's up by Donner somewhere. So I didn't know. I've never been there, so I was just going off a limb. So I ended up we drove out there. It was too icy for the kids. He was upset. He was already drinking. We went back home. He was upset. I don't know how it escalated, but all in all, he slammed my head into a corner of a wall where I got this Flintstone knot on my forehead. Kid seen it. He pulled out a knife that was very intimidating. Was like doing the motions of trying to stab me, grabbed a pen like he was going to stab me with a pen. Basically barricaded me inside our own home. And to make things better, I mean, my daughter screamed. She was like, no, stop it, please stop. And seeing her face, her cry, feeling like she couldn't help, and her dad raging. And I would tell my kids to go run in the room whenever there's an argument or I could sense a phone call. Before he was coming home from work, I could sense it in his voice, whether he was drunk, whether he was upset. I tell him, why don't you guys go ahead and go to your room and hide out there for a little bit just in case things get ugly.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter was that main factor of making me, or trying to stick up for me, the knot, the knife. Cool. That was it. That was pretty much it for me, were seeing their faces.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break. I think it's time for a little break. We come back, we'll finish the story. It'll be our last segment. So I would love you all to chime in. So let somebody know if they're going through this, who they can contact. And so we're going to take a break. It's About Town Dev with City Talk. Be right back.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The stores are bringing me a baby brother! We can do this together!
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't? Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this!
You will rock this!
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Now more than ever, family matters, and Surratt Law Practice has your family in mind. Kimberly Surratt and her team have been helping maintain healthy families through their holistic approach to adoption and surrogacy, child custody, estate planning, and more for over 13 years. Your family law concerns are in caring hands with Surratt Law. Schedule your private consultation with a compassionate Surratt Law Practice team member today by calling 775-636-8200 or visiting lawyersforfamilies.com. Surratt Law, where family matters.
You're listening to Fenix Media. Listen live and explore more great shows at fenixmedia.us.
Ready to help from her toes to her head. Just give her a shout. Call About Town Deb.
My town, your town, or any town. This is About Town Deb presents City Talk. Now back to the show.
And welcome back to City Talk. Whew, we are having a pretty deep conversation, but so important. And again, Star, thank you. And I also want to thank my beautiful co-host here, because without your guys' heart and your soul and being so giving, and with your nonprofit, you are making a difference. And I think people need to support women and men who are taking that step, and to hear these tough stories. And thank you. I know it's tough, and we appreciate you for sharing. And if you're listening out there, we're going to continue the conversation. We're going to give you some of the tools, and we'd love you to finish your story with how you got to where you are now. So I'm going to...
Back to you, Star.
Right. Back to you.
So, like I said previously, it took me 10 times to actually finally leave him. So I give all the credit to a friend that introduced me to the Domestic Violence Resource Center. I knew nothing about it. So the person was working at our apartment complex, was noticing things needed to be fixed all the time. There was doors that were broken, handles, holes in walls. This was way out of the ordinary, but makeup brushes. I was trying to get ready for work one day. There was makeup brushes. He got upset, was trying to keep me from work, threw my makeup brushes in the toilet, peed on them, and then said, "Oh, have fun going to work now." Well, guess what? You try to flush them down the toilet. Toilet's clogged.
Oh,
so the maintenance man came in. He was gone at work. He didn't want to suggest it, like overstepping my toes. So he told the manager, which was one of my good friends as well. So she's the one that actually came and told me, hey, he knows somebody that can help you. So he introduced me to one of the women that run the Domestic Violence Resource Center. So once I got in contact with her, everything was kind of history, where I didn't realize they help you get these protection orders. They help you fill the paperwork that you need to fill out that I clearly knew nothing about. It's not like we do these things on an everyday basis. Let me fill out this paperwork for this. What do I need? What do I put down? So I had an advocate that helped me fill out my paperwork so I can get the protection order on through, send it over to the sheriff, all that necessary.
But before that, you kind of took a little hiatus. After like that last traumatizing event, you took like a kind of a lull in time before this happened, right?
Yeah. So before I even, so actually this is kind of like during me getting in contact with the advocates and everything over at the Domestic Violence Resource Center. So before I ended up, over our last argument, I ended up kind of mellowing out, saying, I'm sorry, I've given out the apologies for his actions. It always kind of had to be that way in order for us to move on and things to be
peace in the house.
Yeah, be peaceful. My kids live comfortably and not argue for like 2 weeks straight. So within that time, knowing when I knew they were going to serve him, I kind of asked the sheriff, when's the time frame so that I know I need to get out of the place. I ended up getting a hotel. I had actually a really good manager at work that set me up and put me as a non-register at a hotel. So women can do those things so they can't be found. So they can register at a hotel. If they need somewhere to stay, they can register as a non-register.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So nobody can call you. Nobody can get a hold of you. It's like you're not even existent in the system.
And one of the other interesting things is if you're in a lease at some place, you can break that now with domestic violence. If you are victim of domestic violence, you can break your lease without a lease break.
And I was one of those people that was able to break the lease.
Yes.
So once that all happened, I got a hotel for 2 nights with my kids, knowing they were going to serve him. They ended up serving him. He had to vacate or he had to leave. And
he still continued to pull things, but the sheriff was there.
Yeah, the sheriff was there. It was supposed to be so that my kids and I stay there. He has to leave. But was I safe? Did I feel safe?
Probably not.
No. So I still ended up staying with a friend. I never wanted to go home. My parents took my kids for 2 weeks because it was during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So they took them for 2 weeks. They helped take care of them while I got things in order and squared up with the Domestic Violence Resource Center, which they gave me shelter so that I wouldn't have to worry. It is definitely a secret where they're not allowed to give a location on where you're staying so that you're protected as a client and feel safe. They gave me numerous resources. I mean, they helped out with Christmas. They helped out. They always gave Valentine's gifts for the kids. So
they housed your dog. They actually have a house for your dog.
Yeah. So they have a little housing center for pets so that they don't have to go and rehome them and the family pets.
Because a lot of women will not leave because of their pets.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And men. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, so they housed my dog, fed him, gave him his shots. He always went to the vet. So there was all these resources that were available to me. Had I known about these maybe the first, second, or third time, I can guarantee I would have left. I mean, they helped out tremendously. And then with them getting more funds to be able to fund the Domestic Violence Resource Center that just happened with SB 177, that gives more women that were in my situation and clearly other women out there, men out there, to get the help and get shelter, whether they need an overnight. Sometimes they do help out with like hotels, like I said. So clearly with them, what else have they given me?
Well, a lot of counseling. They did counseling for you.
I did get counseling,
Mm-hmm. Because you were really in a place of like trauma. I remember just you being like almost
PTSD.
like a zombie. Yeah, like just a zombie.
And I was in denial. I didn't realize that I had PTSD until I went and sought therapy.
You weren't sleeping?
Yeah, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't
at all
eating.
You were just going through the motions. Like you were alive, but you were just a robot.
Yeah, it was. I definitely felt like a zombie. I was in a really bad place, I say, for a year, but I did promise myself I could have used an outlet for like alcohol or drugs.
And you didn't.
And I clearly was like, nope, I'm going to feel this hurt. I need to feel this pain.
Mm-hmm. Like the only way out is through.
Yeah. And so I clearly made myself feel it because when I did leave in the previous times, I would drink.
Yep.
And I would get so drunk to the point where I'd feel sorry for myself and like, okay, am I doing the right things?
Yes.
Maybe he is the right person for me. Maybe I'm not good enough. So I clearly would
go back.
Yeah. So I went back. So I made myself feel the pain, feel the hurt, but then I kept myself busy with therapy.
Hiking. You did a lot of hiking.
I did a lot of hiking and a lot of
soul searching.
Yeah. And I was like that person, like I said, that would jump from relationship to relationship. and feeling like I needed some type of love or feeling
but for the void.
Yeah. And clearly that wasn't the right path for me. Me seeking, feeling the hurt, finding myself, self-love. Those were all the things that I was missing. Because I had a lot of insecurity issues.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And so you said a couple minutes ago, like if you would have known about these resources, or that if you would have had this like essentially hope that it could get better earlier, you would have left earlier.
Yes.
So I think it's like so important that people know like there are people out there, there's resources, there's friends, family, there's our community can be a bright place like in the midst of all this darkness. And so I just want to share really quick, if I have a second.
Yes, you do.
We were just now, Family Hope Project was just at the Reno Punk Rock Flea Market. It was so fun. And it just feels so good to get back out there with people, but that high energy is just like, it's so good. And I just so impressed by like our community and the resiliency we have, the passion we have. But I met a lady who actually didn't even come to my booth. I just saw her at the bounce house, and she was saying, for some reason, she just felt she should share like, she's not from here. She's from LA, but her husband, she was in an abusive relationship too, and her husband moved them here to Reno to get her away from like friends and family. And now she's going through this divorce and navigating it all on her own. He's still, of course, being like mentally abusive, and they have a child. And so I was just so excited to come back to the booth and get her my brochure right away. Like, text me, call me. You can. And that's the thing about Family Hope Project. It's not just 8 to 5, like the business hour. We always say this, like crisis doesn't stay in business hours. In fact, like look at your sleep schedule, look at like after work is when that was so heightened in your house. And so this lady can text me anytime and on the weekends and after hours and whatever. And so I'll be walking her through that, navigating. And it's like, if I don't have every resource, then I'm going to get her to the right people, the face and the name of the person. Like you said, Sylvia at Domestic Violence Resource Center. And so we also have Safe Embrace here in Reno as well. And just having that, like, if you would have known it's going to get better, like if you would have been sure it's going to be okay, then you would have drifted toward making an effort to making it be okay. So it's going to be okay.
And I think that's amazing that you do the 24-hour, because sometimes a lot of these situations happen after hours.
All
hours,
the time.
You know what I mean? It's a 24-hour city. There's gambling, there's drinking, there's drugs. So those resources of having it 24 hours, it will make the huge difference.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how can they get in touch with Family Hope Project?
Oh, you can find us on Facebook. Now we have a Twitter, Family Hope Project NV. That's our handle. Facebook is Family Hope Project NV. You can text us at 404-0298 or email us at familyhopeprojectnv@gmail.com.
And it's area code 775.
Yes.
We're in the
775 404-0298.
Okay, you know what? I think it's that time already. It's time to say goodbye.
That went so fast.
I did.
So again, Star, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It means so much.
We'll have you again.
You will be back, and you can share some more stories, and we can help make a difference. And
the positive things now.
Yeah, it's all, there's hope. You know, there is always hope.
That's why I'm wearing the yellow today. I felt very hopeful.
It's my favorite color because it makes me feel hopeful. Like
just felt
it's bright. Like brighter days
when
are
Star said she was coming, I was like, I'm going to dress up for this.
Aww.
And I look
That's
like a boy.
amazing.
Today's my dress down day.
Okay,
you always look cute.
Okay, with that said, we have to say goodbye. I don't want to say goodbye, but remember, together we are one heart, and we'll see you next week.